Subscribe to RA Solutions by clicking on the subscribe button and clicking on the bell icon to receive notifications. Hello there, welcome to another video about RA Solutions. In this one, what I'm going to be doing is going over R081 from the Creative Eye Media Qualification Pre-Production Skills, which is the mandatory examination unit. I'm going to cover in this video Learning Outcome 3. Please check out my other two videos, Learning Outcome 1 and 2, showing you what things the students need to revise for their examination. So in this one, it's Learning Outcome 3. Moving on. So in terms of the content then, I've already covered LO1 and understand the purpose, uses and content of pre-production. I covered in my last video Learning Outcome 2, which is being able to plan pre-production, and this one we're going to focus on being able to produce pre-production documents, and my next video is going to be solely focused on how being able to review pre-production documents, which is usually the last question, which is a 12 marker in the examination paper. But for this video I'm going to focus on Learning Outcome 3, being able to produce pre-production documents. So in terms of the specification for Learning Outcome 3, this is taken straight from the specification for the R081 unit. Learners must be taught how to create a mood board, create a mind map, or in other words spider diagram, create a visualization diagram or a sketch, and create a storyboard. So those four pre-production documents, they need to know how to create those documents, because they could get one or two questions on creating those documents based on the scenario given in the examination paper. However, in terms of a script, which is the fifth pre-production document, they won't be asked to create a script, but they could well be asked to analyze an existing script. So for example, looking at the scenes, locations, characters in the script, resources, equipment, any other equipment which is needed to be able to analyze the script. Also, in terms of Learning Outcome 3, they need to understand and identify appropriate file formats needed to produce their pre-production documents, and obviously the final products need to be in line with whatever the client requirements are. Also, learners must be taught the properties and limitations of file formats for still images, the properties and limitations of file formats for audio files, the property and limitation of file formats for moving images, for example video, animation, and need to understand the suitable naming conventions, for example version control and organizational requirements. So saving files in specific folders, those folders have naming conventions, those files have naming conventions as well. So your first version is whatever file name, version 1. Your second version of that file is whatever that file name is, version 2, and they were appropriately saved, obviously meaning your organizational skills are sought in that specific requirement. So moving on to creating mood boards, I covered some of this in my Learning Outcome 1 video. So they will get a scenario. So on the left screen, this screenshot on the left, you will have a question. So this question is based on Kids 5 a Day again, and they might need to draw or create a mood board in the examination based on the pictures here. So which of these relates nicely to healthy eating for the Kids 5 a Day mood board? So obviously when the students are creating their mood board, they need to have a suitable title, have suitable images, and spread them out across the board and in neat squares. As I've said before, they need to label the images and also justify why they have been chosen, and link it back to the brief from the examination question. Obviously any writing which they do goes outside the box, any labeling they do or annotations do goes outside the box. They need to also add suitable finishing touches such as text, keywords, colors, fonts, textures, and sound or video. However, it needs to all be neat and tidy. So if you have a look at this example on the right, so this mood board is based on Kids 5 a Day. So they've got the images, they've got the text, but they've also got rationales behind why they've chosen those specific pictures or images of fruit, vegetables, and the picture here, they've got a rationale behind why they've chosen that image there as well. And same with the colours, what colours and what fonts they've got as well there. So they will most likely get a question on creating a mood board. Moving on, in terms of creating storyboards, they could get a question on being able to create a storyboard. So they need to draw or create a storyboard in the examination. They could possibly get a question on that. They need to add suitable sketches to suit the storyline in the exam question for each box or scene. Again, they don't need to be artists to do this. A rough stick figure sketch is absolutely fine in the examination. They need to also add description captions to explain what is happening in each scene underneath that scene. They need to add timings, durations of those scenes within that scene. They need to add a few camera angles or shots to the scene, for example close-up, medium shot, two-shot, wide angle. They need to add some sound effects or music if appropriate, add some speech, and obviously that donates obviously from a speech bubble, and add a scene location to one of the scenes as well. So on the right is an exemplar of a storyboard that's been created by somebody in the examination, and you can see all those different elements have been added in the storyboard. They could quite easily get a question on this in the examination. Moving on. The next one is they could possibly get a question on creating a mind map or a spider diagram. Okay, so in terms of again using the same scenario from the examination questions 5-a-day homepage, the main concept goes in the middle, then you have your branches with the nodes branching out, and those nodes link back to the central theme. So obviously the kids 5-a-day homepage, I'm guessing this is going to be a website, so you have your different colors, what the colors are going to be, and you branch out with the different links there. So obviously the layout of your mind map needs to be clear, needs to be understood. So for example, also on the left side here, 5-a-day homepage, you got your images on what those images may be, the text, what that text may look like, pages, what different pages are going to be or will be included on your website, so on and so forth, and what type of media there will be as well, and who's the audience children, so on and so forth. The middle one is another example, and the one on the right is again a different example of a mind map which they need to be able to create in the examination. The next one is being able to create a visualization diagram. So again, relating it back to the kids 5-a-day scenario from the examination paper, they need to be able to create a diagram of a layout. So again, in terms of the layout, they need to have a title, label the text color, size and font, add any images, draw boxes for where some images will go, label the images and justify the reasons. Always give a rationale why they've done what they've done. In terms of text, add the text, label the sizes, colors and fonts, add labels, label the background color, and say why you have done that, why that has been chosen. In terms of any extras, you can add extras such as video, sound, buttons, logos, on any certification to suit the question that's been given to you in the examination. Make sure everything that you do is tidy and leave some blank obviously blank space so it's clear. So this one on the right is a visualization diagram of a website, of a homepage. So you got the big title in across the middle there, and giving the rationale behind what have you added. So this is the web banner, white large text, crucial size 20. So they've gone specifically and told the examiner what size the font's going to be. In terms of the web buttons here, obviously they've highlighted what web buttons they're going to have, what color those web buttons are going to be, the text, what text they're going to have and why, and what font that's going to be, and the same with the image, what images they're going to have, what colors are going to be there in the video here. So that's an example visualization diagram there. In terms of the examination, they won't ask you to create a script, they will ask you to analyze a script if a question is on that. So they will have an existing script, and all the student will need to do is label or annotate the different aspects of that script. So here, this is information about the location, here is direction for the characters, here the dialogue, what the characters should say. On the script on the right side, again, here is the camera movement, here is a location of where the script's taking place, here is a camera movement again, or camera angle where there's an aerial shot there. Moving on. So in terms of learning outcome 2, another aspect to learning outcome 2 is file formats. The students need to understand the different types of file formats involved in pre-production, from video, audio to images. Now obviously they need to also understand that smaller compressed files are better for sharing or using online, where you need to use up less disk space, but usually a larger file type is of better quality. Now there are also two types of compression. There's lossy compression, which they need to know the difference of. Lossy compression, when you compress the file it loses some of the quality, and there's also lossless compression where no quality is lost. Okay, so lossy v lossless might be asked in the examination. Now in terms of video file formats, they need to know about MPGs, MOV files, MP4 files. So MPG are compressed file formats, MOV are small file size, MP4 are faster loading online, usually obviously used online on websites. In terms of audio file formats, obviously the three main or common audio file formats are MP3, AIFF and WAV file. The first one, MP3, is compressed, small file sizes, good for devices. The second one is uncompressed, high quality for Mac computers only, and the WAV file is the same as the AIFF, however that's for Windows machines only. The image file formats, there's a whole array of image file formats, from JPEG, PNG, TIFF, PDF and GIF files, and the students need to understand the differences between the compression, what they're used for. So JPEG and PNG, both are lossless compression, both used in photography. TIFF files, large file sizes for posters and high quality printing. PDFs are uneditable files used in documents. GIFs are small file sizes used predominantly online, used predominantly for web buttons. And moving on to compression, lastly in LO2, now they need to have some sort of oversight of compression. So raw is a term to describe a digital file that is yet to be assigned a file type. Once you assign that file type, you label the object for software to understand and open. Now students may need to answer a question where some file types try to avoid any type of loss of data. There are generally bigger and high quality. Quality can be important, especially with big images. Now if editing and changing a file, it's best to begin with higher quality. Now some files they need to also understand are produced using compression algorithms, and I've also already gone through lossy compression, where obviously to make them smaller. Smaller means they take up less hardware space, saving memory costs and access speed. Smaller is faster to upload, download and share online. Now the compression algorithms are so advanced that most people cannot tell the difference unless the files are heavily compressed. And the students also need to know about the different naming conventions and version control. Now they might get a question on this. I've looked through all the different papers over the course of the different years, and there have been a few questions on naming conventions and version control. Now obviously in terms of the work, the students need to understand that they save the work with a clear file name and sensible folder structures to keep the work organized and easy to find at a later date. Now they also use version control to show the different versions of work and to show the improvements across the different dated version. For example, work version 1, work version 2, work version 3. I need to stress the fact the students need to know that they rename the file so they have a relevant name. So for example, a picture which they took of an aeroplane, they renamed that to the actual what's in the picture itself. There's this one, you can see the plane, so they name it plane.jpg. So that's it really. That's just a quick oversight of learning outcome 2 from the unit R081 pre-production skills. I hope this video has helped. Please like, subscribe and share.